Breaking the code. Expressing your needs without hurt feelings. Imagine living in a world where every conversation feels like stepping into a minefield. You find yourself walking on eggshells, constantly second-guessing your words, fearing that one wrong step could spark tension, misunderstanding, or even hurt feelings. Maybe you've been there. You want to say what's on your mind and ask for what you need, but you hesitate. You find yourself torn between the urge to voice your thoughts and the apprehension of escalating the situation. Sound familiar? You're not alone. Most of us struggle with expressing our needs, whether it's with family, friends, partners, or coworkers. Instead of open dialogue, we either stay silent and let frustration build, or we express our needs in ways that cause more harm than good. But here's the thing. You can learn to communicate your needs effectively, without causing hurt feelings or straining relationships. In today's video, we'll walk through the essential steps, practical strategies, and mindset shifts you need to break free from those communication roadblocks. By the end, you'll have actionable techniques that you can start using right away to express yourself with clarity and confidence. Let's dive in. Number 1. Understanding your needs. Step 1. Identify your feelings. The first step toward effectively expressing your needs is actually understanding what you're feeling. It sounds simple, but many of us struggle to pinpoint our emotions in the heat of the moment. Are you angry? Frustrated? Maybe you're feeling hurt or overwhelmed. Recognizing and naming your emotions is essential. If you don't know what you're feeling, how can you expect to communicate it clearly to someone else? There was a time when I really struggled with this. I was frustrated in a relationship and found myself lashing out with comments like, "You never consider my feelings." It came across as accusatory and, unsurprisingly, didn't lead to any meaningful resolution. What I truly needed to express was, I'm experiencing hurt because I perceive my needs as unmet. Once I could identify the emotion, hurt, and articulate it clearly, the conversation became less about blaming and more about understanding. Step 2. Articulate your needs. Once you've identified your feelings, the next step is to translate those feelings into specific needs. Here's the tricky part. It's easy to slip into blame when our emotions are high. But the goal is to focus on your needs, not the other person's shortcomings. Instead of saying, "You're so inconsiderate," try something like, "I need more support from you when I'm feeling overwhelmed." This subtle shift from blame to need can completely change the tone of the conversation. Step 3. Prioritize your needs. And finally, learn to prioritize your own needs. People often experience guilt when they ask for what they need, particularly if they have a habit of prioritizing others. But self-care is not selfish. You deserve to prioritize your health, which may mean saying no or asking for help. If you don't take care of your own needs, no one else will. Number 2. Effective communication techniques. Use I statements. Now that you've identified and articulated your needs, let's talk about how to communicate them in a way that invites understanding instead of conflict. One of the most effective tools is the I statement. Rather than blaming others, which can make them defensive, I statements stress your own experience. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," try saying, "I feel unheard when my opinions aren't considered in decisions." The I statement makes it about how you feel, which is less likely to make the other person feel attacked. To practice active listening. Of course, communication is a two-way street. It's just as important to listen as it is to speak. This brings us to active listening. Active listening is more than just hearing words, it's about being fully present and engaged in the conversation. This means avoiding distractions, reflecting back on what you're hearing, and asking clarifying questions. When someone feels truly heard, they're much more likely to engage in productive dialogue, and it opens the door for mutual understanding. Empathy is the next critical piece. Empathy isn't just understanding what someone else is saying, it's about understanding how they're feeling. When you're able to step into the other person's shoes and see the situation from their perspective, it shifts the dynamic. It's no longer about winning an argument, it's about fostering connection and finding a solution that works for both of you. Before we move on to the next part, it would mean a lot to me if you could give this channel a like and subscribe. Thank you. Let's move on to the next topic. Number 3. Handling difficult conversations. Choosing the right time and place. When it comes to having difficult conversations, timing is everything. It is always a bad idea to try to discuss a delicate subject with someone who is agitated, preoccupied, or stressed out. Choose a moment when both of you are calm and able to give your full attention to the conversation. Whether it's a quiet coffee shop or a peaceful moment at home, the environment matters. You want a space that encourages open dialogue, not one that adds to the stress. Maintaining calmness and composition. Once the conversation starts, it's essential to stay calm. This can be really challenging, especially if emotions are running high. But maintaining your composure helps keep the conversation constructive. If you find yourself getting worked up, pause, take a deep breath, and remind yourself of the goal, to express your needs without escalating the conflict. Raising your voice or becoming defensive often leads to more misunderstandings. Seeking compromise. After clear communication, the other person may not meet your needs. That's when compromise becomes key. Conflict resolution often involves finding a middle ground, a solution that works for both of you. Be open to the idea that a compromise doesn't mean sacrificing your needs but rather finding a balance that respects both sides. Number 4. Overcoming obstacles. Fear of rejection. Let's face it, one of the biggest barriers to expressing our needs is the fear of rejection or conflict. You might fear that asking for what you need will make you appear too demanding or difficult. But here's the thing. People can't meet your needs if they don't know what they are. Yes, there's always a chance that they won't meet your needs exactly as you hope, but the alternative, staying silent, can breed resentment and frustration. Doubt-based practices. Self-doubt is another major obstacle. If you don't believe that your needs are valid, it's easy to convince yourself that speaking up isn't worth the trouble. However, your emotions and thoughts play a crucial role. Needs are important. Remind yourself that you have a right to express them. The more you practice, the more confident you'll become in standing up for yourself. Differences in culture. Finally, cultural differences can sometimes impact how we communicate. Different cultures have different norms around expressing needs and emotions. Some cultures encourage direct communication, while others emphasize the importance of subtlety. If you're navigating a relationship where cultural differences come into play, it's important to be aware of these nuances and approach communication with extra empathy and understanding. Ask questions, clarify intentions, and be mindful of how different communication styles might impact the conversation. In conclusion and to wrap up, here are the key takeaways. First, learn to identify your feelings and articulate them as specific needs. Use I statements to avoid assigning blame and steer the conversation towards your personal experiences. Practice active listening and empathy to foster better communication with the other person. Choose the right time and place for difficult conversations, stay calm, and seek compromise when necessary. Now that you have these tools, the next step is to practice. Try using these techniques in your next conversation and notice the difference it makes. If you found this video helpful, make sure to give it a thumbs up and hit the subscribe button for more content on communication and personal growth. Thanks for watching, and remember, expressing your needs is a vital part of building healthy, fulfilling relationships.